The words of my lips and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. The not-so-easy life. The other day I was driving down from the North Country, stopped into one of those restaurants where they have all sorts of plaques that you can put in various and odd and sundry places in your house with some sort of smart sayings on them. One of them caught my attention because I seem to be dwelling in my household right now with instant experts on every subject, particularly when you're 4 years of age or younger. And one of the plaques I thought really summed it up extremely well. And I'm saying to the effect, because I can't recall the exact wording, you're an adult when you've learned 1/4 of the things you thought you knew all about when you were young. And so our young people stand here today with the idea and the concept that they've learned a lot over 10 years. And sure they have. They've learned a lot of great experiences. And they could be excused for feeling that they know a lot. It's a special moment for them. It's a milestone along the way in their journey. It's a day of accomplishment. After all, it's been 10 long years. 10 years of mom and dad dragging them out of bed to the inevitable grumbles and mumbles and not me and why do I have to go. 10 years of teachers and film strips. 10 years of friends you've made and lessons you've learned. It's a long time. It's 90% of your life. And it's not very long at all when you think of it. For what it's had to do for you, its real purpose has been trying to prepare you for life. The not-so-easy life of a Christian. And we've done it, I think, against great odds. For most of that same time, you've been in school 25 hours a week. You come here 1 hour. If you'd attended every Sunday over the past 10 years, you'd have attended 300 hours of church school. You know how long that is? That's about 12 weeks of school, 1 term. That's about 5 months of TV if your parents keep the lid on you and only allow you to watch 1 hour a day and 2 hours a day on weekends. Really not very much if you think about it, is it? School also prepares you for life, and you've spent 14 times as much time in school as you have here in church. And you've spent 10 to 13 times as much time watching television. Now, with due apologies to the management of CKCO, television doesn't do too good a job of preparing you for life. It does saturate you with all sorts of experiences and fantasies and commercial products and so on. And I suspect that most of you knew the golden arches of my company, which makes hamburgers, long before you knew what the Tower of St. Andrews looks like. I've been called Ronald MacDonald by so many of these characters down here that I'm almost going to adopt the name. See, you know a lot. You know a lot about God, you know a lot about love, and you know a lot about faith and trust and what's right and what's wrong and discipleship and Jesus and Moses and Paul and Peter and James and John and the prophets and the church. But now you've got to really start to learn it. Learn it by living it. Learning by letting it grow as you grow. Taking it with you every day of your life. For you see, contrary to the public understanding, in life it's not what you know, but it's who you know that makes the difference. Now that doesn't sound very well when you're out trying to get a job and you come away and you're a highly talented and skilled person and you suddenly realize you've not gotten the job and you finally come down to that cynical idea that, well, it's not what you know, but it's who you know. Your political context. But when it comes to the Christian life, the ultimate truth is it's who you know that makes the difference. You have the facts and the figures now. And all that's very well, but those facts and figures are not worth anything unless you know the God who gave them to you. Unless you know the God that you've met in Jesus Christ. Indeed, I suspect that a whole lot of what you've been taught back in the beginners department, at the primary department, you've already forgotten. And if you haven't already, you're soon going to forget it, because there's important things to learn in the next few years, such as the current rock hits, and who are the teenage idols, and the current scene of who's going with whom. That's not quite yet, but another year, and watch out for trouble, Mom and Dad. and the batting averages of everybody in the major leagues and the minor leagues and the pitchers. And then you've got to know how many games the Argonauts and the Leafs and the Blue Jays are going to lose next year, because they're all going to lose. So much of it will be forgotten. Or at least it'll be dim in the back of your memory after all the work that Mr. Marshall and Mr. Turnbull and Mr. Panabaker and all of the other people that have worked so hard with you. So much of it will be forgotten. But the one whom we sought to point out to you, the God that we know in Jesus Christ, He it is whom we and your parents have tried to introduce you to. A God who loves you and calls you by name. A God who will never let you down. A God who will never forget you or turn His back upon you. He is the one you need to remember. At home, in your quiet moments, at school, in your busy hours, when you play and when you cry and when you laugh and when you hurt. For His interest in you is personal and it's deep, and it'll never let go. His interest, whether you forget Him or not, will not give up on you. Whether you succeed in life or whether you fail in life. Whether you make a great impact with the gifts and talents that you've been given by God, or whether you make a shambles of life, He's not going to let go of you. And He has His church in the world, and He has His Bible in our lives, and He has His sacrament in our midst to remind us of that every day. But what about you? There's something asked of you. There's something asked of you in this not-so-easy life that you're going into. It's not easy to be a Christian. First of all, friends are going to laugh at you. Surely you don't go to church and do all that crazy kid stuff. Surely you don't believe in God and all that superstition. Surely you don't listen to your parents about religion and all that. Surely you don't take church seriously. Like, that's gross, man. It's a whole bunch of lies and stories that they tell you just to keep you straight. And that's out where life's at. You've got to get out there and you've got to sew it up for yourself, and you've got to live and try to do things. You've got to do your own thing, man. I don't like taking that approach, because it sounds like I'm trying to frighten you. I just don't want to make the Christian out to be a martyr. But the reality of it is that out there in that world, that's the way people will treat you. And they'll give you a hard time if you're a Christian. And it wasn't even easy for Jesus. Like, His own family at one point in His life said, look, come on home, you're an embarrassment to the whole lot of us. We don't want you loose out here doing the strange things you're doing. Remaining true to His Father's love finally led Him to the cross. Don't tell me that's easy. The not-so-easy life that you and I are facing is a life in where you have to stand up for what you believe. And you have to say, I know this God in Jesus Christ, and He loves me, and He's going to stay with me. And that's what I believe. The not-so-easy life means staying with your prayers when others would laugh at you if they ever knew you were doing it. It means staying with what you think is right and wrong when others say, oh, come on, don't be a browner. Or how will you learn and grow unless you stay with the Bible? It is the basic textbook of life. As sure as I'm standing here today, there's some of you who are thinking in your little minds, big minds, sweet minds, I'm done. Got all that Sunday school behind me. No more Sunday morning at 9:30 or no more Sunday morning at 11 o'clock. I'm free. I've got no more learning to do around that place. And I'm sure there's a few parents sitting there saying, we've made it. No more dragging them out of bed on Sunday morning. Now they're on their own. Well, that's fine. But is it really over? Or is it just beginning? What you've done in the last 10 years is just preparation. It's just finishing studying the road maps before you take the trip. It's just kindergarten insofar as life is concerned. It's important and it's remarkable, but we've really only just begun. And that leads us to the second point on this not-so-easy life. The first thing is that they're going to laugh at you. And there are going to be people who are going to try to tell you otherwise, and you're going to have to be able to say, this I believe, I know the God in Jesus Christ, I'll stand up for my beliefs. But then God is demanding something of you. He wants complete trust. He wants all of you. I want to think that through. Through the pain and the joy, the disappointment and the hardship of your life, the critical point of Jesus' teachings was that you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind. Now that's pretty complete. There's a lot of all there. Now, that isn't dishwasher detergent. All your heart, all your mind, all your soul, all your strength. The love of God that he asks of you is total. There'll be a lot of other loves. Some that are going to want to interfere and take you away, like money, and things, possessions, and cars, and neat things like that. And there's going to be an idea someday that you want to be successful and powerful, get control of people. Sometimes love of friends is going to get in your way. But it means saying that God is first and foremost for me, before everything else. And although that's hard, you shouldn't be undermined by the fact that you are first for him. You think of it, God said, you're first for me. What would you think of a God who said to you, all right, Joan, all right, John, all right, Mary, you're first all right for me, but first I got to go to the cottage. Or I'm too busy for you today, I've got this big deal I'm working on. Or no, don't bother me today, John, I'm too tired. You're first for God before all else. His love will never let go of you. He's saying to you, love me with everything that you have and everything that's in you, with your heart and your mind and your soul and your strength. And the not-so-easy life of the Christian will work. But now comes the crunch. They'll laugh at you. They'll ridicule your beliefs. God is saying to you, you've got to love him totally. Thirdly, love your neighbor as yourself. In other words, put your love in action. Don't just talk a good line. Don't just say, hey, Mom, Dad, I love you, and then go out and do exactly the thing that would show them there was no love at all. Don't say, I love my friends. That's easy. But Charlie over there, I'm not so sure I love Charlie. I'm not sure I even like him. You see, this is what is unique about the not-so-easy life. That is that the love that God has for us has no limits. And because of that love, our love for others can have no limits. We actually can love our enemies. We actually can love them and forgive them. And all that's hard, and that's very hard, and you can't understand how it can happen, and yet it's possible. Because God loved those who crucified him and forgave them. And because he gives you that same love, you can do the same for people around you. That sounds so out of the ordinary, doesn't it? So different from everything that you've known. And that's exactly why this not-so-easy life is a special life. Who'd want to join a church or join any club where it was easy? Who'd want to do anything in which there was no challenge, no demand, no excitement, no opportunity to come of it? It's possible, it can happen, and God can use you as the channels of his love. Do you know what will happen then? This world will change because of you. People's lives will be changed because of you. Enemies will stop hating each other because of you. People will stop fighting with you because of you. I hate a fight. Nothing upsets me more than to get into a scrap with somebody and you all get upset and cruel and angry feelings are surging through me. I hate it, and I'm sure you do too. That special love that God has called you to put into action in the not-so-easy life is the love that will put an end to that. Now remember, he's loved you. He set you in this world. There are going to be people who want to take it away from you and mock you on it. He'll never let you down. Stand up for what you believe. Let him know that you love him with all of your heart and your mind, and that his love will work through you into the world. And it isn't an easy life, but there's no one better in all of this world. Ye who the name of Jesus bear, his sacred steps pursue, and let that mind which was in him be also found in you.